So just some kind of general tips. In your packet, I have a link to the State Election Board voter portal. And what that is, it's a really nice tool. I actually have it on my favorites on my phone, and I can't tell you how many times I've whipped it out at voter registration drives, because you'll have somebody say, hey, I moved, I'm not really sure if I'm still registered to vote or if I changed my address. And so you just type in their name and their birthday, and it'll pop up telling them where their polling place is. You could look at your sample ballot. You could request a new voter registration card. Another tip I would have is just really encourage people to register right there in front of your face. If you register people, if you have a voter registration drive, say like we had some this past fall at the Energy soccer games, and people are there, they didn't come to be registered to vote. They came there for the soccer game or the, whatever, the powwow or the musical event, whatever. So a lot of times they'll say, no, that's okay, I'll just do that later. But human nature being human nature, out of sight, out of mind, they'll probably forget, and the last thing you want is for them to think about it on on election day. So I would really try to encourage people, hey, it just takes a minute. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll bring an extra card table and a chair, and I say, hey, here's this chair, you can just have a seat. It just takes a minute, and then try to make it as easy as possible for people to want to register to vote. One thing I would also do, and you guys probably also are very aware of this, just take that extra 10 seconds before they start running off. Just say, hey, just let me check really quick, look through it line by line, just make sure they filled it out correctly, it's legible, they've signed it, dated it, because as you probably know, there is a good percentage that are not filled out completely, are not signed, what have you. And the state election board and the county election boards, they're not in the business of just like discarding voter registration forms that aren't complete. They do try really hard to send letters out to these folks saying, hey, you didn't sign it or what have you, but you want to make it as easy as possible. You want to eliminate that extra step where something could go wrong. Just let's do it one and done. Let's see. Oh, I would really highly also encourage people, you'll have a lot of people say, oh no, I'm already registered to vote. I would have them try to check out the voter portal and just double check, because last year the state of Oklahoma was it about 91,000 people from active to inactive voter status, meaning that they hadn't voted since before the 2016 election. So what that means is to be active again, they just need to start voting. But if they don't, then eventually they're going to be just cut altogether from the rolls. So I would just have people check, because sometimes and I'm sure you guys have found this, a lot of people, they'll come up and they'll check, I have them check, and they'll say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I didn't change my address the last time I moved. So just try to get people so that their information is up to date, because you want to make it as easy as possible on people. One thing, as you probably know, you have to be party neutral, so don't show up with your big D or R or whatever on your t-shirt when you're registering people to vote, because just like you can't coerce people to vote a certain way, you can't coerce them to register to vote a certain way. Another thing is, if you are a notary public, you cannot even really talk about registering people to vote absentee. I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the line the wheels fell off the bus. So as of right now, I cannot encourage people or help people to fill out an absentee voter form. So the way I get around that is I just have all my volunteers who are at the table with me talk about that, and I just avoid that altogether. And that last piece in there where it says Oklahoma State Election Board voter portal, that's actually a 3-part thing. What I usually do for my voter registration drives is I make a few copies of that and then cut it into 3 pieces, because it's the same thing 3 times. And it's always seemed weird to me when I register people to vote that they walk off and that's the last time, nothing to show for it, nothing to refer to. So I use it as like a little receipt and say, hey, in a few weeks, because it has the link to the voter portal, in a few weeks, just check to make sure that the county board processed your voter registration. And then if you haven't gotten your voter registration card, you can always request another one there. You can look at your sample ballot, etc. And it's just a way, in my mind, to try to get people to engage more, not just fill out a form and that's it and walk away, to actually remember that they registered to vote, and just maybe it's a little prompt. But I don't know officially how well that works. As soon as they're out of sight, maybe they throw it away. I don't know. But I feel like it's something just to remind them.